RMJ movie reviews back again with the rest of my Halloween marathon franchise movie review of Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers from 1989. Well, I do remember when this film came out, and I will say I love that cover art. I really love that picture. I think it's awesome. I remember when this film came out, and I I do remember that it was pretty. I was kind of confused because it did remember like I almost had couldn't tell the difference between Halloween 4 and 5 at the time because I believe I was 8 or maybe I was 9 by the time this one came out, and I might have been 7 or 8 when Halloween 4 came out. But either way, I saw it when it came to video. My sister actually rented it for me from the video store. I watched it in the attic at our old house that we grew up with. And at the time when I was a kid, I really liked the film. 5 again is one of the ones that I kind of least watched. Most of the Halloween movies that I watch the most are 1 through 4. 1 through 4 are the ones that I watch the most. 5, 6, H2O, Resurrection, Rob Zombie, Halloween 2, I really watched the least. Um, Rob Zombie's movie I periodically come back to, or I have occasionally a couple years ago. But anyway, the biggest issue with this movie is that it just, and I think everybody who made it even agrees that it just was made too quickly. And I think with them not having a really clear idea of where they wanted to go with the story, they just threw a movie together very quickly, and they really threw in a lot of I don't even say these characters are, they're not obnoxious like in a Rob Zombie kind of way. They're more just like really, really annoying. They're really annoying and dull. And well, I'll get into Rachel being eliminated in a little bit, but it just really they threw it together too fast, and because it picks up right after 4, a la Halloween 1 and 2, and it's just continuing the story thread of 4 with Michael Myers going after his niece again, but that was all they had to go off of, and a lot of the cast, the good cast from Halloween 4 is not here, except for Danielle Harris and L.A. Cornell. And L.A. Cornell gets killed off really early in the beginning of the movie. And really, her character isn't given that much beef in the short screen time that she's on. Uh, Danielle Harris's character from Halloween 4, she really gets shortchanged in this one. They make her not be able to speak, and they kind of cop out on the surprise ending of the previous movie, and it really it just wasn't a well thought out sequel. It was, they got too greedy and made it out. It just threw it out too quick, and then they throw in these plot threads that or these subplots that weren't clearly thought out, which is namely the Man in Black, which he wasn't even what he became in Halloween 6, the previous movie, wasn't even what he was here. He was just something to just throw out a red herring that they really had no intention on. At least the makers of this film had no clear idea of who he was or any idea of following up on it. They just threw it out there and was trying to leave it for the next person. And it wasn't until I watched Halloween 5 now that I didn't even realize that the thorn symbol is on Michael's arm and on the Man in Black scene, and it's actually on some points in the Myers house. And I never noticed that in the 150,000 times I've seen this film. Um, the only thing that confuses me is when they say what the thorn symbol means in Halloween 6. I'm kind of perplexed as to, did they have an idea of that it was called Thorn, or where they came with the idea of putting this symbol on their arms? Because it seems like they had no clear idea who he was when they made Halloween 5. So I don't understand why they came up with this symbol thing, or I don't know. But look, none of it makes any sense, and the movie kind of really meanders. It really meanders a lot because it really, I mean, essentially, it's just Michael Myers looking for Jamie again. But you know, once Rachel is killed, and L.A. Cornell, she's such a. I just love her as an actress. I kind of wish I'd see her in more things. People leave some comments down below if there's other movies that she's done because I'd be interested in watching some of her other work. But I really liked her presence in Halloween 4. I just think she genuinely has just a sweetness to her, and she has a very natural, caring nature to her. Just her energy as an actress, and she just feels like a loving person. And when she gets killed in this one, it just really, and it's for her to be. I mean, you know, the legendary, the character of Tina is legendary. I mean, everybody knows how annoying she is. I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of zoning out a little bit. Annoying she is, and you know, of course, that I finally couldn't take it. I had to fast forward the bump, I couldn't take it. I had to fast forward it, and all the scenes with. And one thing I've even noticed too is that these stock annoying, dull teenagers they put in here, they even look alike. Like Tina and her boyfriend Michael, they're both brunettes. They're dark haired, so they just look the same. And then the other two couples, they're both blonde, and they just like look like Ken doll killing Barbie dolls. They're like interchangeable. They just look alike, and they're just uninteresting characters. And it's not saying anything against the actors themselves. Because look, hey, they were trying to get a check. They were just trying to make their money like anybody else in the entertainment game. But the way these characters are written, and I don't know what it is this time around. This was 1989, so the hairstyles. Look, don't get me wrong, guys. I love all the 80s cheese. I grew up on all that. But in this time around, they really should have kept. I think are those perms that they have. If there's anybody who knows the poofy hair and the curly hair and the mullets, and just the really loud clothes. The way they dress in this is very similar to how the actors on Miami Vice dressed in Miami Vice season 5. Just like this very rockery, permy, poofy hair with a lot of denim and just cheetah looking clothes. Just really weird clothing choices that I just think honestly are distracting to me. They're just distracting to me. And I don't know what it is about the way the lighting is in this movie. This movie has a very flat, uninteresting look to it. But I will say, in all those negatives I just gave, there are I'll say three ways this movie succeeds. The tone is very dreadful. I mean, I will say this has a very uneasy tone. This movie does feel uneasy. It has an uncomfortable, sinister tone to it. I will give it that. Like you do have a feeling when you watch Halloween 5 that it's just not going to end well. You know, so I do like that. I like the fact that Michael Myers is very vicious, and he's completely, he's very threatening in this film. I will give him that. I'm not particularly crazy about the way the masks look, and I'm not particularly crazy about how stocky the character of Michael Myers is in this movie. But still, he's very threatening, and I like how he's not just the shape of 1 and 2. I like how there's some moments where he's like bashing people's. He bashes a cop's head on the dashboard. The kills in this are pretty good too. He throws one guy out the window and hangs him, and he's very, very vicious. There's moments where it's just complete straight like Kane Hodder viciousness, where like before he throws the cop out the window and hangs him, like he's like punching him, and you know he moves very quickly. There's like one scene where she touches his face, like very good moment where Danielle Harris gets him to take off the mask, even though it's inconsistent with the fact that he got burned in 2. And she's like, you look like me. And it's like, wait a minute, didn't you get blown up in the explosion? But whatever, continuity, schmontinuity. But I love how he just freaks out and he throws the the casket across the wall. But he's very, 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 very sinister. I mean, he pretty much kills everybody. I like that they really set the tone that he's more brutal than he was in the last film when he kills this old man, because Michael Myers, this old man kept him in his costume for about a year, and Michael wants to show how appreciative he is to this old man by body slamming him on the floor, and like just thrusting his fist down into the poor man's chest. And, that noise he makes, you could just hear it. He goes, oh man, you do feel bad for that old guy. But and Donald Pleasance. Donald Pleasance is so twerked up and bat crazy in this movie. He's full on lost his mind, and I think every other YouTuber movie review has pointed it out with him, and the what are they going to do with that? It's the best, and I love it. I think I pointed this out before in my first review of Halloween 5. Is how Danielle Harris said in the commentary that like Donald Pleasance would be like up in her face, like, "What is he going to do?" and shouting at her. And she said she could smell something on his breath, to which she now knows to be probably brandy. So Donald Pleasance was probably in his trailer, knocking him back, but hey, look, man, Donald Pleasance was probably, I don't know if he was a 70-something-year-old man when they shot this movie, but he earned his right, man. So Donald Pleasance was getting it in the trailer, and then could go shoot his scenes. But Donald Pleasance, but I will say he's the one character who has evolved, devolved, or whatever, but there was a change in the character from the last one to this movie. He's about the only one that changed. And although it might be a little off-putting to see him go so insane, I mean, I just think at this point, if Michael Myers is back on another rampage, it'd probably drive you crazy too. So, but the biggest issue with this movie is the lifeless, dull, annoying characters, and the meandering plot, and subplots that don't go anywhere. It's just period. It's a meandering, not well thought out sequel. Pure cash grab. Only elevated by a very sinister Michael Myers and a sinister tone, and Donald Pleasance's like really twerked up performance. Because even this time, Bo Starr, who I love as an actor, he always plays very good tough cop guy roles. He doesn't have anything to do in this film, and he had a lot more to do in the last film. So it just and then that false ending. You go in and Myers is gone. It's just like, the man in black breaks him out. I remember thinking at the time it was so stupid, and I remember when I went over to my best friend's house, his mother ordered it off pay-per-view. Pay-per-view kids, we're going old school. And me and his older brother, were watching it, and I just never get. His older brother just kept saying, "Who is this dude in the boots?" I remember that's all he kept saying. "Who is this dude in the boots?" Halloween 5 was a it just shows, you could have a good sequel or a fair sequel, like Halloween 4, and all it takes is a Halloween 5, 6, or Resurrection to totally just throw the thing off the rails. I will say out of these, at least out of the 5 through 8, I'm not really quite sure which one is the worst one between Resurrection, Curse, and The Revenge of Michael Myers. I don't know. I'll let you guys say which one you think is the worst. I guess we could probably fairly say that Resurrection is probably the worst out of those 3, with the close second probably being Curse of Michael Myers, and that's only because of how jumbled and convoluted it is. And then this one would probably be last, because at least, although all 3 of them are well, one is a very awful movie. That would be Resurrection. Curse of Michael Myers is terrible in that it doesn't, the story is not fulfilled. This here is just meandering and just kind of not well thought out. So it depends on what part you guys value or devalue or whatever. But ultimately, meandering, pointless, dull, only elevated by a sinister tone, a sinister Michael Myers, and a loony Donald Pleasance. So those are my thoughts on Holly, and some really good vicious kills in there. Oh, and I will say that of course, it was the mistake that you lost the heart of the movie by killing off L.A. Cornell, Rachel. I will say that as much crap as people give the character of Tina, her one shining moment is when she rescues Jamie from Michael Myers by holding the knife, and she jumps in front of that sword and takes the bullet. You know, she sacrifices her life for Jamie. I will say that's a good scene, and the way she plays her death, which is kind of like, I really thought that was, I really in a very dull movie, I did think that was a genuinely wrenching, gut wrenching moment. I thought, and just the way, when you see the knife just go into her shoulder, it was just like, oh, that was a pretty tough moment. And the violence in this movie is tough. It's very tough. So I think that's what kind of gives it a little bit more of oomph to an otherwise kind of meandering, dull movie. And I will say the barn sequence does have some kind of creepiness that definitely calls back to Halloween 2 and Halloween 1. So that's my review of Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. I'll be coming right back with my review of Halloween 4. All right, guys, tune in.